There's a really fascinating story in the sequence of the Three of Cups, Four of Cups, and Five of Cups. And I've been drawing the Four of Cups a lot recently. I feel like we've gotten it in a couple of our collective readings. So I wanted to talk about this because it's a really helpful complement to the process of alchemy, especially when it comes to our emotions. So the Three of Cups is, in the light side, traditionally about celebration. It's about joy and friendship and communication and communion, shared celebration, and the sacredness of pleasure and connection. Like, this is usually a pretty positive card to get, and the people look happy here. But the shadow side of the Three of Cups is when celebration becomes compulsive or more of a distraction. It's like the emptiness of overindulgence. So if we are using socialization or even addictions as a way to avoid deeper intimacy with ourselves and ultimately with spirit, so it's like too much of a good thing, essentially. And it asks us, am I celebrating what nourishes, or am I numbing what aches? So then we have the Four of Cups, which can be kind of like harsh on the surface. Like, usually we associate it with like dissatisfaction and boredom and apathy. Like, we are unhappy with what we've got. In a more positive sense, we can read it as like taking a sacred pause, a reevaluation, and like an integration after the party. But what's really beautiful about the Four of Cups is that there is this divine cup being offered. So this one cup that's coming out of the sky is the Ace of Cups here, with this like hand of God offering this person in their contemplation something new. So the Four of Cups, as like, yes, it can be boredom and apathy and dissatisfaction, but this is really a positive moment because this person is taking the time to evaluate these three cups that had been really filling them up and had been like scratching that itch, or whatever need they had. Like, those three cups, this partying and celebration was filling a void for them. And again, it wasn't always necessarily bad. Worst case scenario, addiction, but in a lighter sense, this is just like, okay, I've been going out a lot and maybe I was really enjoying it at first, but now it's like, it's just not really hitting the same way as it used to. So the divine flow and connection to that inner wellspring of love and emotional fullness and joy is present in this card. But it's taking this figure time to contemplate and like really process, again, checking in with like that numbness and kind of status quo, to get to the point where they can recognize this gift. And then as they move from the Four of Cups to the Five of Cups, the status quo has been disrupted and there is this acknowledgement of loss. And, the Five of Cups is grieving. There are still these two cups in the background here. So there's still, number one, there's like, not all is lost. But this moment in the Five of Cups is about taking the time to allow that emotional flow, which is going to keep the arc of the story moving, so that you're not just stuck in this Four of Cups apathy forever, which is often what this moment is covering up anyways, is like not letting yourself get to the place where you are allowing the emotions to flow and grieving whatever it was that this addiction and distraction was covering up for. So the Five of Cups is transformation through grief. It's allowing the emotions to move. And I mean, that's such an act of love for ourselves, to let ourselves really feel what has been lost and acknowledge that void. The shadow side, of course, of the Five of Cups is when we are too focused on what has been lost. So that's another perspective of this arc, is like being overly focused on what is present without acknowledging that there's more here. Like there is something else available to us that we're not seeing. And then, you know, the Five of Cups is being so overcome with disappointment and loss of what could have been, that again, this figure is missing. Like, there are still these two cups here, representing divine union and mirroring. Like, there is a soul connection that is present in this card that hasn't gone anywhere. So the shadow side is, you know, being too absorbed in that. But really, again, this is the alchemy of this, is letting that energy move and flow, and honoring and loving yourself enough to give yourself the space to process those emotions, so that you're not like arrested in your development at any one of these stages. So the 3 is about dispersing energy outward. There's pleasure and potentially escapism. 4 is confronting the limits of that escapism, the distraction, the boredom, when you are like tired of the thing that used to really do it for you. And then there's the moment of choice here, and the potential of recognition. And then the 5 is really a good thing. 5s are about change and movement, but it's also facing the consequences, and there's grief involved, and there's also clarity and an opportunity for new direction. And then, of course, when we move to the 6 of Cups, there is deep healing. There's ancestral healing, and there is the opportunity to give the gift of emotions to someone else. But I didn't pull the 6 of Cups out. We're not going that far. But that is eventually where it leads. So I have done a deeper reading on this with specifics. So if you're identifying with this process, especially with being at this stage, the 4 of Cups, then definitely check that out. It's on my Substack. I'd love to have you join me. And I am going to pull a couple of cards just to kind of see where you're at here. So what hidden distraction is coming to light for you? So this is the 3 of Cups moment. Get shuffled here. What hidden distraction is coming to light? And this could be kind of that flip from a positive, like joyful celebration into like maybe overindulgence, but let's just see what comes out. Not what I was expecting at all. Okay, we have the Queen of Cups, the 9 of Pentacles, the Ace of Swords, and the 3 of Pentacles. So what hidden distraction is coming to light for you? The Queen of Cups feels like maybe being too deep in your feels has been distracting you. So this is bringing up like when you're doing shadow work and or you know, like diving into your trauma and you're really deep in healing, there is such a thing as being like too consumed by it and not letting yourself enjoy the present moment. Because, you know, the point of all of this is to be embodied and be in touch with as much joy and presence as is available to us. The Nine of Pentacles is, this is like, because we're asking about the shadow side, right? We're asking about distraction. This is like, you know, being overly self-sufficient and independent. So maybe you have just been like grinding so hard on trying to get yourself to a place where you feel like, what's really coming up for this is like a deservingness wound, like you don't deserve, or it's not safe for you to let other people in until you are like at a certain level where it's like, I can let people in, but I don't need them. And that's really, you know, it's a protection mechanism born of fear of like, it's not okay to depend too much on other people. The Ace of Swords, this feels like, like needing clarity before you can move forward in a way that is distracting. So like, if you don't have all the answers, you don't understand all of the pieces, it's like being overly attached to needing to cut away all of the, it's ironic because this question is about distractions, and it's like cutting away distractions is a distraction for you. Like we don't have the luxury of waiting until we have all of the information and every possible like option and path available to us, because that's just not how it works. Like we're never going to have all of the answers. Like you are never going to be at a point where you can like open a book and look at all of the options for your future and choose the one that you like best, because their reality is too malleable. Like every second we're making choices that are creating other potential futures. The other distraction is this sense of needing validation. And it's interesting that we got the 9 and the 3 of Pentacles, because these feel very connected. So the 9 being like overly independent and too attached to self-sufficiency. And this is like kind of the other angle of that, of like being afraid to build with other people. And so maybe the distraction in this for you is like, like there's just always something that's like, well, that's not the right situation, or that's not the right, these people aren't a perfect fit, or like they're not validating you in exactly the way that you think that you need in order to feel safe. Yeah, and so all of these cards, that's why I said initially, like I was surprised by what we got. But it makes perfect sense, because just like the 3 of Cups, you know, is, and of course no card is, like that's kind of the whole point that I'm making with this teaching, is like, no card is all light or all shadow. Like there aren't good and bad cards. But this tracks with the 3 of Cups traditionally being like a really joyful, celebratory card, that all of these are, you know, again, like traditionally pretty positive. And, you know, so that's the whole point of shadow, is that nothing is 100% one way or the other. And, yeah, I mean, anything can become a distraction if we are overly attaching, or, yeah, just overly attaching to it. So what is the current Ace of Cups moment that is calling you into evaluation? So what is calling to you that's like kind of breaking you out of the pattern that you've been in with with the distractions. And I also want to say I'm not surprised that just given this collective, that the distractions we've gotten were not anything that was like, oh man, that's a really huge red flag. Like, you know, because you're already a seeker, like you're already on the path of individuation. And so now it's more about like smaller tweaks that are bringing you back into balance. It's nothing like, oh my God, you've been like, you have been like drinking multiple bottles of wine every night or something. Like, no judgment. That I hesitate to even give an example, but like the things that came up were all things that very understandably could be like easy to focus too much on. I hope that's making sense. Okay, so what is your current Ace of Cups moment that's calling you into evaluation? So that is this thing that's being offered that is connecting you back to the reality of being in touch with your own divine flow. So like that is always the truth. That is like baseline reality. It's just that often we need a reminder to come back to. So we have the Queen of Pentacles, the Five of Pentacles, and the Hierophant. So the Queen of Pentacles is about being really grounded and embodied and like comfortable with physical pleasure. There's a very sensual energy here. So this, your body is calling you back. It's like remembering how much pleasure your body can give you and how good it can feel to be physically present with yourself. And so this might not even be like your current experience of your body, but it is the Ace is like all of the possibilities of the suit wrapped up into one. It's that divine potential. So this is the potential for that, whether or not that's your experience right now. It's that little spark of like, I know that that's possible for me, even if I'm gonna have to go on a journey to get there. And I hope for your sake that this is your reality right now. The Five of Pentacles is about having companionship in this moment of isolation and what word am I trying to think of here? Excommunication, but like there's a better word than that. It's not coming into my head. So these figures are outside of a church. Like they are not within the traditional structure of culture, and like they're not within the accepted, give me a minute with this. They're not within a traditional framework of like, this is the way you're supposed to live your life. Like you're supposed to do steps A, B, C, and D. They're out here in the cold, in the snow, but they are not alone. So this is like a recognition. This is a recognition of companionship, and it's like a feeling of camaraderie in your otherness. So this feels like a moment that's like, holy shit, I didn't know there was someone else out there like me, or that was also having this experience, or that saw things this way. And so you're very much in this energy of like, like being different, but it's like, oh wait, I'm not as alone as I thought that I was, which is like a really beautiful correspondence for the idea of an Ace of Cups, to realize that you have this companionship. And the Hierophant is this feeling, this kind of feels like, in the context of this reading, like the graduated version of this Five of Pentacles, because the Hierophant is about like tradition and traditionally accepted like religious structure, but because of this reading and the question that we're asking, this is like the higher octave of that, as far as like you being your own spiritual authority. And so it feels like, I mean, all three of these together is like, yeah. Oh, this is so beautiful. You're being called into a recognition that being embodied can be so deeply pleasurable, and that is your birthright. That you are not the only one that has felt out in the cold when it comes to all of these structures and systems and like the robotic expectations of, you know, giving up your own autonomy and sovereignty to something outside of you that tells you how things should be done. And this is you becoming your own spiritual authority and choosing your own recognition and making your own rules. So our last question is, what has been spilled that you're being called to grieve? Because that is the progression, is the recognition of escapism, of the old way of doing things not working, of trying to fit in, just not being it anymore. The moment of choice and consideration, of examination of like, oh, I'm realizing this old way of being is no longer working for me, and recognizing that there is this brand new potential that is much better than the status quo that has been what you're used to. And then there's the grief, the grieving that things are no longer the same, that they're not working the way that they used to, and that there is something else under the surface that you weren't acknowledging when you were just going about business as usual. So what is that thing for you right now that's been spilled that you're being called to grieve? Oh my God. Let's see how many cards this is. Okay. I was not expecting this to be a long reading. This is only 3 questions. It's fine. Okay. 6 of Cups, Knight of Wands, 3 of Pentacles again, 9 of Pentacles again. I shuffled. These did not all come out at the same time. The 4 of Cups and the Tower. Okay. Let me look at these as a story. I also just put them out of order. Why did I do that? Okay. So this is what has been spilled that you're grieving. The 3 cups that are no longer, they're no longer doing it. They're no longer meeting your need because you see that your need is truly much deeper than the surface level thing that was filling it. So the 6 of Swords is about safe passage. Okay. So the 6 of Swords is about safe passage from like stormy, rough waters to a calmer place. And this ferryman that's bringing this person and their child along. So this could, you know, maybe you're a single mother, or this could be you and your inner child, like whichever resonates. The Knight of Wands is about really fast-moving action. It's passion that burns really bright. The 3 of Pentacles and 9 of Pentacles we've talked about already. The 4 of Cups is like the whole point of this reading. And then the Tower is about false structures and illusions collapsing and being torn away by this. This lightning is like illumination, divine insight, It's just something like realizing that you have built on a false premise, essentially. So what you're being called to grieve, I think, is this sequence here that like the idea that things were going to be very linear, so that you were going to be able to like get from point A to point B and be somewhere that was, you know, like calm and drama free. Like, I'm going to get from this stormy, rocky place to somewhere where things are finally like good or okay. And feeling really passionate and on fire for that. Like, you could go out and make it happen on your timetable. Like, this is what I want. I'm going to go out and it's going to happen. Like, kind of an energy of forcing things to go your way. Having strong expectations around the idea that you are immediately going to find the exact support that you were looking for, and that was going to put you in this position of not needing anyone else. Yeah, it's just very like expecting a linear path. Like, things are going to happen this, and this, and then they're going to be exactly how I want. I'm not going to, like, I'm going to be stable and self-sufficient. I'm not going to need anyone else, and I'm going to be safe because it's all me. It's all on me. And this Four of Cups is you realizing that this idea, this sequence of cards, like this journey, this arc of story, has been, it's like it's a fantasy. These 3 cups are the fantasy of this story, that like you'd be able to get to a point where you wouldn't need anyone else, and that would be where your safety came from. And the Tower is the breaking down of this fantasy, of this belief. And obviously, of course, I want to make this so clear that like you do have safety available to you, and that safety does not come from you being in a position where you don't have to count on anyone else. So I'm very specifically talking about the idea, which is so familiar to me, that like if I just have like all of these ducks in a row, then nothing can hurt me again, because, you know, even if I do open up to other people and they disappoint me, like, look at everything I've got. Like, I can do all this stuff for myself. I didn't need them anyways. So it feels like that's something that's been significant for you, and you're realizing you're having your Tower moment with that. And yeah, that can be super painful. I relate to that. So if you're interested in the deeper reading, you know, for more support about how to move through this Tower moment, what is already available to you to support you in your sovereignty, and the ways that you are already alchemizing this moment, because as you become aware of something, it has already, like, you already have the lesson with you. Like, awareness is all that you need. It's not that you have to, like, you don't need to go and put a bunch of effort or striving into solving this problem now that you know it. It's not like, you know, you need to go like dig it up and like fix your beliefs or anything like that. Like, the awareness in and of itself is enough. Just hold it lightly and know that you already have all of the pieces. Like, this is already moving out of your field. But if more support is something that feels clarifying to you, then join me on Substack for the deeper reading, and we'll get into it. And as always, I'm here for you. You've got this. I love you.